Buonasera e bentornati al canale del Sussidiario Italiano. Alla salute. Good evening and welcome back. I'm so excited tonight, because we are starting to work very seriously on vocabulary building. And that is the topic of the video, in which I will present you the method and where I took the words, and then I will read, and you will be able to read on the text, on the screen, a story in Italian, completely in Italian, and that story will contain the 20 most used Italian words ever. And how did I get there? The roadmap is the one that I announced in a previous video on the sound system, on the vocabulary, on the sentences, on the short stories. And of course, I move from the fact that are in the texts, and reading is the most powerful vocabulary machine. But reading can be daunting. Reading in a foreign language, in this case in Italian, can be extremely difficult. So I will read with you, I will read for you, and you will follow along. And by following along, then we will explain the text. And in the text itself, that is not difficult, not super easy, it's just a little bit on top of your capabilities, just on the right spot for acquiring Italian. You will find time after time the 1,000 most common Italian word. We will start, as I mentioned before, with the 20 most recurrent, most used Italian words. How did I get there? So that's the plan. Presenting this, and then reading the text, and then analyzing the text, and talking about words, and summarize vocabulary, and memorize vocabulary. How did I get there? Word in context, the short story that I invented and I wrote for you, with the 20 out of 1,000 of the most common Italian words. High frequency vocabulary are 3 key words. What are high frequency repository and or vocabulary? Are lists of the most common words. There are machines, computers like computers that you feed them millions of words in every kind of text, from books, novels, short stories, articles, reviews, magazine, everything written in Italian. They can take millions of those for millions of words. And they, computerized, they classify vocabulary based on how many times those words appear. So they make a classification of the words from the top recurrent words to the least recurrent words. So you can easily take the 1,000 most common Italian word, the 2,000, the 3,000, the 4,000, etc. We start with the 1,000, which is already a big plateau for language learner. This is a great technique to jumpstart with your vocabulary, because if you start learning vocabulary on useless long lists, and sometimes even with picture, can be useful, but in context is the key word. You should do text in context, because without context is way more difficult to memorize. With text, you can use other words of the text to decipher the one you don't understand. You can make comparison, you can see patterns, etc., etc. Bottom line, you learn faster. And I'm all about learning faster. I'm not about shortcuts, because there are no shortcuts to learning a language, but I'm about the easier way, the least painful way to learn. And for sure, whether is transparent words that you learn first, or even if they're not so transparent, as in some cases, well, the most common words are the best. So we can, if we can use the power of today's computer and AI intelligence, artificial intelligence, intelligenza artificiale, computerizzazione, computer, moduli, algoritmi, to find out the 3,000, 5,000 most common words. Let's get it. Let's contextualize them. Let's write a story with them and let's use them to improve. Let's use them to learn our first 1,000 words. Then we will move to our second 1,000 word and third. Think that with 300 words, you can already master the 65% of written materials. With 1,000 words, you arrive to 76-80% of understanding and whatsoever text, which is great, which is great. And the lists are available, but you don't need to go and look for them because I've already thought about it and I took one of the most trustworthy lists and start to build stories and sentences and materials around it. So you can just watch my video, become a subscriber, give me your time, give me your trust, become one of us Italofoni, and be brave to learn Italian vocabulary. So this is what we're gonna do. So, and in order to get to our first 1,000 words, we start with 20, and then we will move on to the other 20 and 20 and 30, etc., until we get to 1,000. I've written a kind of an easy and easy to follow short story for you in Italian, and now I'm reading it for you so that you have a good idea of how it sounds. And as soon as the text appears on your screen on this video, I hope you can follow the story. The story is short, a page, and it's about a young boy who goes to elementary school, but he is not perfect, as every good protagonist of a story should be. And now we can read for the first time, ok? In una città lontana, vive un bambino di nome Carlo. Carlo è un bimbo magrolino con occhi e capelli castani che frequenta la terza elementare. Un giorno Carlo torna da scuola e dice: «Oggi non ho voglia di fare i compiti e ho una gran fame». «Che cosa vuoi fare allora?» gli chiede la mamma. Carlo risponde: «Voglio un gelato e una ciambella alla crema e niente compiti». Il papà di Carlo dice: «Per pranzo vuoi un gelato e una ciambella alla crema? Una cosa del genere non è una scelta sana». Carlo va in collera. «Voglio un gelato al pistacchio», grida, «e una ciambella alla crema. Sono grande ormai». La mamma dice: «Hai 8 anni, non sei grande». «Ho quasi 9 anni», insiste Carlo. Il padre dice: «Ora vai in camera tua a fare i compiti. Sei in punizione perché non si alza la voce con i propri genitori, Carlo». Carlo va in camera sua. «Mi dispiace», dice tra sé e sé Carlo, e si pente per lo sfogo di poco prima. «Ho fatto male», pensa, «ma voglio lo stesso un gelato». «Papà però ha ragione», riflette Carlo, mentre si siede alla scrivania della sua cameretta e si mette a fare i compiti. Carlo fa i compiti con diligenza e impegno. «Cosa fa la mamma per cena stasera?» «Per me voglio la pizza margherita e un gelato al pistacchio con la panna montata. In cambio le prometto che faccio il bravo e studio tutte le materie difficili come storia, geografia, italiano e matematica». Contento, Carlo continua a fare i compiti in camera sua per tutto il pomeriggio. Quella sera suo papà va in camera di Carlo e dice: «Ti sei pentito di esserti comportato male prima?» Carlo risponde: «Sì, papà, mi sono pentito». «Hai fatto i compiti, Carlo?» Carlo fa vedere a suo padre i suoi quaderni. «Ecco tutti i miei compiti, papà. Suo padre gli dà un bacio in fronte e dice: Carlo, ti va di mangiare la pizza questa sera e dopo un gelato al pistacchio con la panna montata sopra? Carlo, felice, abbraccia il papà e insieme si dirigono in cucina dalla mamma. Già si sente il profumo delle pizze pronte in tavola. And that is the story. You notice that some words are put in another color or highlighted. Those are the most frequent word from the list, and they are among the 20 most common Italian words. You can trust it. The computer don't make mistakes, okay? So in millions and millions of words, the most recurring, the ones that appear the most are the most common, and they are inserted in this text. Your task is to understand the meaning of the text, that now I will help you translating it, of course, and memorize and start to recognize the words and then memorize them for what they are worth, meaning their meaning. You can think and translate them in English. You could put them on flashcards if the system of flashcard works for you, or you can just read the text. This would be my suggestion. My method would be to read or listen again, and while you read, and do it multiple times. By doing it multiple times, you will first learn and then acquire the whole text and all the words, or almost all the words that are in the text, especially with a particular attention to the ones that are in some way highlighted, because as I told you that many times now, those words are the 20 most common words coming from a high frequency list of vocabulary, of Italian vocabulary. Remember that every language has more than 500,000 of words, but the one that come back in every conversation are 3,000, 4,000. If you master 3,000 or 4,000 words, you can already speak, you can understand, you can structure your vocabulary, you can structure your sentences, you can understand, you can decipher Italian all the time. And this means that you will be able to at least understand and then, with time, to speak. Don't be in a hurry to speak. I know it's important, it's the quintessential proof that you master the language, but my suggestion would be don't rush. Don't rush. It's not a competition. It's you're learning at your own pace. So don't worry, don't hurry. Try with this method called the Sussidiario method and see how it happens. Now let's go back to the text. In una città lontana lontana vive un bambino di nome Carlo. In a very far away city, a little kid named Carlo, a very common name in Italian, he lives there. Carlo è un bimbo. Bimbo is just another way to say bambino, to say little kid. Magrolino, little bit skinny, con occhi e capelli castani, with eyes and hair the color of walnuts, right? Castagna is the walnut. Che frequenta la terza elementare, who is a third grader, who frequents the elementary third level, which means the third grade. Un giorno, one day, Carlo torna da scuola e dice, one day he comes back from school and he says, today, oggi, non ho voglia di fare I compiti e ho una gran fame. Today I don't feel like doing homework and I'm very hungry. Che cosa vuoi fare allora? His mother, no? Che cosa vuoi fare allora? Gli chiede la mamma. So his mom asks him, since you said that you don't want to do homework, what do you want to do? Che cosa vuoi fare? What do you want to do? Then. That allora means then. He spoke in Italian. Carlo risponde. Carlo answers. No? Rispondere means to answer. Voglio un gelato e una ciambella alla crema. E niente compiti. I want an ice cream and a donut with cream. and no homework. Very assertive, kind of rude, like sometimes kids can be. And he says that. His dad, that is present on the scene, says, il papà di Carlo dice, per pranzo vuoi un gelato e una ciambella alla crema. Una cosa del genere non è una scelta sana, no? His father says, Carlo's father says, for lunch you want an ice cream and a donut with cream. Something like that, una cosa del genere, no? A thing like that, is not an healthy, sano, sana means healthy, choice. Scelta means choice. Don't worry about focusing on every single vocabulary. Focus on the general meaning first. And then you go deeper and you pick all the words you want. But don't go for the single words. Look at the general picture from far away first, and then you restrict your video, your choice, and you go down to words, okay? Carlo va in collera. Carlo gets mad. No, he gets mad. Voglio un gelato al pistacchio, grida, e una ciambella alla crema. Sono grande ormai. He gets mad and he says, he doesn't say, he shouts, I want, something that Italian kids are not supposed to be doing. I want. I would like, please, but not I want. There is a proverb that says that the herb to want doesn't even grow in the king grass, meaning not even the kings and queens should be allowed to say I want, but you need to be nice, so you need to say like I would like, mi piacerebbe, vorrei, conditional, and not want, I want, io voglio. The verb is volere in the infinitive, and you conjugate it, io voglio, tu vuoi, lui vuole, noi vogliamo, eccetera, eccetera. Okay? Un gelato e una ciambella alla crema. Voglio un gelato al pistacchio. I want an ice cream at the taste of pistachios. He shouts. You notice that he says grida, not he, not lui grida, ma grida, because it's implied in grida. Lui grida. And a donut, a ciambella, alla crema, cream, ciambella, a donut. Sono grande ormai. I'm big. I'm old enough already. Ormai. La mamma dice, hai 8 anni, non sei grande. His mom says, but you're 8. You're not big, you're not an adult. Ho quasi 9 anni, insiste Carlo. And he insists. He's mad and he's like having a kind of a tantrum. And he says, well, I'm almost 9 already. He insists. Il padre dice, ora vai in camera tua a fare I compiti. Sei in punizione perché non si alza la voce con I propri genitori, Carlo. So his dad says, well, now go to your room and do your homework. You are in punishment. You're being punished because you should not raise your voice with your parents. You should not be rude and confrontational to your parents, basically raising his voice and shouting. Carlo va in camera sua, no? After all, he's an obedient guy, he's a good guy, even though has a temper tantrum, and Carlo va in camera sua, mi dispiace, dice tra sé e sé, e si pente per lo sfogo di poco prima, no? Carlo goes to his room and he thinks, well, or he says between himself, no? Tra sé e sé, dice, mi dispiace, I'm sorry, he says between himself, and he feels bad, pentirsi, reflexive, to feel bad about, to repent, to regret, per lo sfogo, for the outcry that he just had with his mom and dad, his parents. Ho fatto male, pensa. I did bad, no? I didn't act well, he thinks. But I still want an ice cream. But Dad is right. He reflects. So, ma voglio lo stesso, no? I still, anyways, I want an ice cream. But Dad is right. Papà ha ragione. Riflette Carlo reflects. Meanwhile, during the act of sitting down on his desk in his room, in his childhood room, and he puts himself down. Mettersi a fare I compiti means to put yourself down and sit down and get ready to do your homework. Carlo fa i compiti con diligenza e impegno. So Carlo does his homework diligently and with commitment. No? Impegno is commitment. Con diligenza e impegno. Cosa fa la mamma per cena stasera? Evidently some time passes away. Time flies when you have fun. He's doing his homework and he thinks, what is mom doing for dinner tonight? He didn't have lunch, so probably he's getting quite hungry. Per me voglio la pizza margherita e un gelato al pistacchio con la panna montata. He dreams, he fantasizes about food, about dinner, and he thinks he wants, again, he hasn't learned the lesson, he wants a pizza margherita, quindi a pretty elementary pizza, very good pizza, margherita with mozzarella, etc. And a pistachio ice cream with whipped cream. Panna montata is whipped cream, so he's a kind of a connoisseur of good stuff, and gelato, pizza, all the good stuff. In cambio, in exchange, I will promise to who? To mom, che faccio il bravo, that I will be good. Fare il bravo means to be good. E studio tutte le materie difficili, and I study all the difficult subjects like history, geography, Italian, and math. So he takes a good resolution, and he continues for all the afternoon to do his homework in his room. That evening, at dinner time, Italians tend to have dinner later than Americans, so from 7 on, depending on geography, the south of Italy, they have dinner usually later, in the north a little bit earlier, but we're talking about like 7:30, 8. So that evening, his dad goes to his room and he asks, ti sei pentito di esserti comportato male prima? Did you regret behaving the way you did before, earlier? And Carlo risponde, sì papà, mi sono pentito. Yes dad, I did repent. I feel bad about it. Hai fatto i compiti, Carlo? And his dad asks him, so have you been doing your homework today? Carlo fa vedere a suo padre i suoi quaderni, so he doesn't answer, he doesn't say yes I did, he just shows. Show, don't tell. He shows his handbooks with all the homework, and he says, ecco, here you go. No, that ecco in Italian means when you show something, you say, ecco qui, ecco. Ecco tutti i miei compiti, papà. Here you have all my homework. Suo padre gli dà un bacio in fronte, dice, no? His dad kisses him on the forehead and says, Carlo, ti va di mangiare la pizza questa sera e dopo un gelato al pistacchio con la panna montata sopra? So Carlo, do you feel like eating a pizza tonight? And after that, an ice cream with a taste of pistachio with whipped cream. So basically they read his mind, or they knew what he likes, and so he's asking him if he feels like eating his favorite stuff. E Carlo is happy, Carlo felice, abbraccia il papà e insieme si dirigono in cucina dalla mamma. Già si sente il profumo delle pizze pronte in tavola. Carlo, happy, embraces, no? He hugs his dad, and together they go towards the kitchen where the mom has been preparing the dinner. They can already feel, it's possible to feel, to perceive the perfume, no? The aroma of the pizza. The pizza smells very good, usually, that are ready on the table. So basically, this is the conclusion of the story. So I hope you had fun. I hope you liked the story, and focus on the whole of it, the whole story. And then you put particular attention on the underlined or highlighted words. Those words are the 20 of the most popular, the most recurrent Italian words ever. So capitalize on that, learn them, and then you will need them when you go to Italy or when you speak and read in Italian, and you will become Italophone before you know it. Okay? So thank you so much for your time. Thank you for watching my video. Please leave a comment, any feedback, any question. I would love to hear from you. Become a member of our community by clicking on the subscribe button, please. Put a like I said, and I will see you in the next video. And as usual, being brave is not an option, it's a must. So, coraggio, coraggio, coraggio.